この世は勝つことが全てだ。
How does Ayanokoji Kiyotaka constantly succeed in the end, no matter the level of adversity? When all odds are stacked against him, how can he always come out on top?
The White Room. A nurturing facility
Made to create artificial geniuses within Japan, in which Ayanokoji excelled and was given the title of the masterpiece. Ayanokoji's ability to think, control his emotional state, and even his physical abilities all came from this said facility. This video will display the White Room's methods, which had Ayanokoji become the masterpiece. Ayanokoji's White Room curriculum consisted of many subjects such as political studies, economic studies, sciences, and liberal arts, which is a degree in many fields like history, literature, writing, philosophy, sociology, psychology, creative arts, martial arts, and more. Ayanokoji was studying all of these at a young age and at a professional level, to the point where Ayanokoji is stated to have the mental age of a 30-year-old, which could be more now in Advanced Nurturing High School, along with other White Roomers also being in a different league compared to most people. Ayanokoji states that he had knowledge which would surpass the amount learnt in a lifetime. How, may you ask? Well, Ayanokoji had what would be contradiction to what people think of the White Room. A natural genius. He has a natural genius in adaptation, not to mention his immeasurable memory, being able to recall the time he first awoke, quite literally the first day as a baby, along with recounting other details of his life to perfect detail that could be considered something known as hyperthymesia. Hyperthymesia, the uncommon ability that allows a person to spontaneously recall with great accuracy and detail a vast number of personal events or experiences and their associated dates. His would be something similar to that, along with something called photographic memory. So with this extraordinary memory and genius adaptation, his ability to pick up information was like no other, especially as his generation was the most difficult, described in Volume 0 as the levels had been increasing each time and would weed out the defectives within the generation. As this difficulty ramped up, Ayanokoji did not falter and skyrocketed in his learning. Ayanokoji, born with these abilities of what you could call an anomaly, had a yearn for more. Someone like him who has learnt so much will want to learn more, as that is natural when knowledge of arts and fields you are interested in expands, placing him as the masterpiece of his generation. His cognitive abilities pre-training were so insane that he was able to hold 50 bits of information in his head at a young age. During this, he also notices cameras even though he was not ordered to, which without a purpose of observation is another high feat, placing his natural observational skills pretty high. Think about it, are you really going to do this without a goal in mind? Maybe if you had the goal to observe your environment, but in a usual situation, no. His fighting abilities were also no joke, becoming one of the top fighters amongst his fellow White Roomers in his generation, versing a talented person named Shiro, and later fighting professionals and nearly killing them in the process. He also had knowledge of weapons used, and then in the White Room records in Year 2 Volume 1 again noted to fight professionals and win, which would be described as monstrous by Sugushiro. What to take note of here is that Ayanokoji is the biggest anomaly within the White Room and Japanese society, or society in general. His regression hadn't been all hard work and the will to learn, but for his natural resources. However, the learnt things were still useful to Kiyotaka Ayanokoji, as his knowledge had been expanded from the White Room, which had allowed him to be proficient in any field. Kiyotaka Ayanokoji, as we had mentioned before, has a yearn for learning. His curiosity had formed into the desire to see the outside. When outside and in the school known as Advanced Nurturing High School, we get to see Ayanokoji's learnt skills applied, with some that hadn't been used much in the White Room. Thus, before starting Advanced Nurturing High School, he decides to move with the goal of conducting himself like a teenager. However, Ayanokoji realizes later on that his genuine burning desire was control. If you're enjoying this video so far, then do make sure to subscribe and like this video. Comment Ayanokoji likes carrots if you've made it this far. Control of his environment, to control others and his own environment. We had seen examples of this within the White Room, as he controlled his own score just to give some other White Roomers a chance. Ayanokouji, when pushed into an environment of competition, can't help but indulge himself in it. This is where we see an example of the first time Ayanokouji properly controls the game, but not fully. He indirectly manipulates Horikita in Volume 2 or in the anime Episode 6, set of fake cameras. These fake cameras were so they could pretend there was evidence surrounding Keisu Sudo and his fight against against Class C members. This case had expulsion on the line for the potential perpetrator of the incident, whether it was Pseudo or the Class C boys. Ayanokoji had indirectly manipulated Horikita by planting a seed of information within her brain, and then letting her figure it out herself. Manipulation is when an idea that wasn't previously within the brain is let in, and persuasion is more when an idea is there, but it needs convincing. He then again controls his environment in Volume 3, the iconic island test, where Ayanokoji steps into the role of a proper mastermind after now trying to involve himself with class affairs, as he had been quote-unquote blackmailed by Chawashira-sensei, as she required him to try for Class A, aka for Class D to become Class A. This plan is done very subtly throughout the entire volume and displayed the same within the anime. The White Room hadn't directly thought Ayanokoji real-life situation-type games, but Ayanokoji, through his extensive knowledge and his EQ, emotional intelligence, had observed people's behavior, discovering if someone was a spy and other spies within other classrooms, while also hiding everything from Horikita and misdirecting everyone in the end, as the actual logical case, based on everyone's perception and even Class D themselves, was that they'd done super bad. However, Ayanokoji came and took the victory under everyone's noses. After doing this, he puts it all on Horikita as the one who had won the exam and came up with such a victory. He also controls the environment, engineering a match later for Ryuen. In Volume 4, he sets up the bullying of Kei Karuizawa, beating her up. Ayanokoji lets it happen and gets all the evidence required, using this as an opportunity to connect with Kei and use her influence, as she was the prime leader for the girls of Class D. Ayanokoji made it so Ryuen could go on a hunt, in which, in Volume 6, Ayanokoji describes getting ready for Ryuen's match and being hyped somewhat. This match extends from Volume 2 to Volume 7. If you want to know why, well, Ryuen had set Pseudo's fight so that he could get expelled, going after Class D as one to take down first. Volume 3 again, but Ayanokoji had taken the win over everyone. Volume 4, in which Ryuen confronted Horikita, directly broke down Horikita and came to the conclusion that there was no way someone like her could have ever come up with a plan on the island exam, in which he describes it being something that within itself is crazy, but under the conditions and the time was even crazier. Then in Volume 6, where the build-up happens, Ryuen confronts Class D members trying to snoop them out, along within his own group, and of course, Volume 7, where the fight happens. Ayanokoji had been given the challenge of Ryuen in Volume 2, when he declared war on Horikita/Class D.